Hey, I'm Josh, and welcome to VFX Tutors. So if you've been following along in the recent videos, we've been modelling this flamethrower asset. So we went through and we sort of showed how we can use scans and cameras and images to help us with our hard surface modelling to get really accurate models. So we're just going to continue modelling this piece by piece and basically modelling it as accurate as possible. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying this. I'll try and fancy up the editing and stuff if I have time and cut through some of the wasted time that I do thinking about stuff. But anyway, let's move on and start modeling. Okay, so I'm in Maya. Like I said, you could be using any software that you want. This is not strictly a Maya tutorial. You could be using Blender, Houdini, 3ds Max, Cinema 4D and all that sort of stuff. So hopefully you've got this far by creating your scan and lining it up to the origin, making it a fairly sensible position to model to. If you haven't, you can download this. Undecided whether it should be a free or not. Leave a comment if you think it should be or not. Give me your reasons why. Anyway, I'm going to try and cut through all the blubber that I tend to go on about. So when you've got an asset like this, it can be quite tricky to figure out like where do you start. There is actually quite a lot of complicated geometry that we need to build here and around here. It's kind of a mix of hard surface and a little bit of organic. But what I'm going to do first, I'm going to start with this sort of area here, which is probably the simplest sort of place to start. So when we look at this, we can see we've got all these screws here, and it's kind of a thin plate that sits on probably a thicker sort of joining chunk of metal. You can see it a bit more clearly here. And you can see on the other side, it's the same plate, but a different sort of choreography of screws. So that's something that we need to know because we can't well, obviously you can duplicate it over to the other side, but it's not going to be right. So there are multiple ways you can do this. As we're going as like this is a sort of hard surface sort of thing and trying to do a really super accurate model, I know that you can probably add these in texture quite easily with like bump normal maps and stuff like that, but for the sake of modeling, we are actually going to model them in. So what I kind of like to do is map out these sort of positions of the screws and bolts, and I think this bit here is kind of like a molded piece of metal that's attached or spot welded on. We'll find out. So let's actually start with that piece. So I'm just going to make a cylinder, and hopefully if you've gone through and made it all in a nice sensible position, all your objects should kind of come in a sensible position too. So I tend to always do this, start with the shapes that God provides, or whatever software that you're using. Cool. Obviously we don't want this many subdivisions, but we can actually, let's not decide on that yet because we're modeling these in. We might actually need that many subdivisions, so let's just leave that for now. And what I'm going to do, what I like to do when I'm doing like little bolt areas, I also like to map them out with cylinders as well. Obviously, this is very much. We definitely don't want that higher sort of subdivision on it. And you may be wondering why I'm doing this. It's because when I'm I'm not going to keep the cylinder. I'm just going to keep the outer edge when I've done the bevel. I'm not bothered about. I'm not bothered about the actual cylinder. I just want its. I'm figuring out basically my edge flow and how it's going to keep it nice and tidy. And basically the outer side of this screw is going to be the hole. So I'm just going to duplicate that up. There's a certain level of like accuracy you can go with this. There is a good chance that all these holes may not be the same size, but let's just say for this they are all the same size, because that's just adding like a layer of unnecessary complication maybe that we don't really need and no one would ever notice. So we have got this weird bit. I would probably say that texture's correct, and you can kind of see it might have been lost on this edge, so don't forget we can be a little bit liberal with this, I guess. I'm just going to mark out all these holes. So I hope you guys have been enjoying these tutorials. I'm trying to spice them up a little bit, make them a little bit more interesting, but maybe I'm just not an interesting guy and probably just quite boring at making tutorials. But the way I see it, if it takes a fancy load of editing to get you to learn, you're probably, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that, but anyway. Cool, so we've marked those out, and of course you could probably make that hole there, but let's not for the case, unless you are going to actually do a breakdown of it. So, you know what? Let's just do it anyway. Let's just assume we're going to do that. Oh my god. So we've got a load of cameras in there, so to be wary if you're going into perspective. Albeit you can barely see that, but you probably can't even see it, well, let's be honest, but I could see it. I'm just going to make it. I'm going to assume they're the same size holes. Well, these probably aren't. These are probably actually the size of the screws, which are probably because we're not actually, well, so those are probably smaller. So I'm just going to take a guesstimation from the center of the screw. I'm going to delete that one and actually select that. Instead of scaling it again, I just duplicate and cover it across. And let's assume that's the hole we're going to have for there. If you've got all the cameras, you might just want to click and drag it in because there's going to be a lot. Cool. So let's turn off. In fact, let's bring that back up. Oh, no, that one. The scan rifle. I'm just going to make just a plane. And this is purely just so really need to do it. I'm going to turn my shading and wireframe shade on just so I can see. I'm going to hold V and just snap it to the top vertex. You can see because we scaled this down, it's going to be a different height. So now I'm just going to use this plane to snap that one up. There's another one around here somewhere. Where are you? There it is. So cool. Then we got our sort of layout of bolts. Don't need that anymore. So what I will do is I'm actually going to select all of these, but not that one, and go mesh, combine, face, and I'm just going to delete all the bottom edges. And yeah, let's do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm just selecting all my border edges. Bring back. Don't want to see that. The reason I've brought that back so I can sort of see how close I can really get to the edge. Albeit there's kind of some weird bits. So I'm just going to extrude the entire lot. Only a tiny amount. Cool. I'm happy with that. Just going to go to my object mode. And what I will do is probably should have kept that plane. Did I? No, I think I deleted it. Just as sort of that I know that the fact that this is flat. In fact, let's just turn it off and straight away hold V and snap it in the Y to that. So I'm just going to select all these vertices. And just snap it down. So it's all level with each other, basically. I'll hide that this time because I might need it. So we've got all those mapped out. Let's also do it for this shape here. It's not a complex shape, but if we can make our lives easier, I will. And what I'm basically doing, I'm just using these sort of simple objects to create the inside edges, so I can then start to put it together. It will start making sense when I start putting it all together. But I'm just going to scale that to there. Probably not going to be uniformal. Just noticed my camera's gone super red. It's probably because it's gone dark and it's kind of weird outside. Let's see if I can put up a screen. Well, how can I fix that? Who knows? Let's not worry about it because I don't really care. Here for the modelling, not my super red face, and I'm not going to change it because it's already in the video. But anyway, I'm going to put that up, see if it changes it. Why is it doing that? 1 second. Well, seems like the white balance broke on it, but anyway. Now I just look like I'm in an icebox. Sorry for my very vain moment that I just didn't want to look like I don't know, a sunburnt lobster. Not there's anything wrong with being a sunburnt lobster. So I'm now just gonna, because you could probably quite easily just like model around those, but I have faith in maybe that this might work. So and you know, I think that's pretty reasonable, you know. And now I am just going to select that V and snap that down to there. We can actually delete all this junk. Don't worry about that, like as for now. We are going to do that. Control E. Extrude it out. So the things we need to be aware of are these sort of edges here that are coming close. But now we can select this, and this is not I always have to reiterate, this is not like the way you have to do it. This is just the way I do it, because I just like to map out all the bits first. Then, if you've done it sort of with an equal amount, because I've not changed the sides on this, it's all an equal amount. And now all I have to do is worry about getting this all to fit. So, you know what? I'm happy with that. That's could be a lot of extra polys, but for me, I'm not that bothered. So I'm just gonna. We'll worry about how that. We'll worry about how that goes afterwards. Cool. And now you can sort of see what we're doing. We've actually done like effectively a lot of the hard work already by mapping it out. Now we just have to figure out how we're gonna sort of make it work, I guess. So I'm just gonna select all this and merge it together. Mesh, combine, and just for the sake of, just delete the history so there's not just loads of junk everywhere. So let's bring back our scan, just double check up against it. We're not doing anything weird. I don't believe we are. Cool. So, with that being done, what we could probably do is let's figure out all the innards and workings of it. And we can worry about their edges afterwards, because that means we can turn that off. And now the hardest part, well, I'd say the hardest part, it's not the hardest part, we've already kind of, in reality, done it. We're just going to make this work, basically. So I'm going to add edges where I think they need to be. Cool. I just don't want to get, it's kind of get a bit sketchy through there, maybe. I think maybe that's maybe that's pushing it, but that'll be alright. So we're just going to do the same here. And what I probably could have done, which I'll probably do now, oh no, it's not going to let, oh, let's see. You can actually select these and rotate them. As long as you rotate them on the correct axis. It can help us a bit. It's a bit stretched there, but hey ho. So I guess then our next challenges will be to, because we could have made it sort of work there, but I think that's possibly making a little bit too much geometry for what we really need. So I do reckon we will need something there. So just target word. So this will be the trickier bit, getting these to work with having such a huge amount of, well, let's not say a huge amount, but we have got considerably, well no, it's not so bad actually. Let's it kind of just about makes out to be okay, I guess. It's not as bad as I thought it'd be, but I know you sometimes say my tutorial is a little bit long and lots of stuff I can cut out, and you sure are correct, but I never plan these, prep them. I am just doing this as it is, basically. I honestly have not got the time to prep tutorials. And yeah, that is that. So, and also you get to see all my mistakes, which I must admit I do a lot, and I got a feeling there's a couple of mistakes coming up momentarily. Straight away here, we've got we should have probably not done that. And we've got that one there, so we've got two here. So we've kind of made a pickle here. And we just got to figure out how to make these work, because obviously that works there. But I don't want to go crazy with sometimes just extruding from another side gives you a whole new perspective on how you can do things. Oh. So is he not letting me do that? Cool. So obviously if we join this, we'll have a 5-sided piece. And so probably the best thing to do right now is actually add an edge loop here. Bridge that, and that will be the same here. Let's add an edge loop here, and we can, no, yes. Cool. And this kind of just definitely makes the whole sort of figuring out how to join things together a lot easier. Like I say, you don't have to do it this way, but I can tell you now this makes, for me, this makes it a hell of a lot easier. That I don't really have to do a huge amount of thinking on. Well, there's still a huge amount of thinking, huge amount of gears turning right now. I don't know if you can hear them. Let's not try and change that, because that is actually the sharp edge we want. Cool. And we're getting it's quite a complex shape. I could select all that, but then it's going to select because we've done such a great job on edge loop. Everything will get selected. What are we on now? What's our time? 23. 23 minutes. I hate rushing these, but hey, for some reason people want stuff fast in life. You're never gonna. It is what it is, I guess. If you're a university and your lecturers were speeding through things, you would probably complain. Yeah, nothing, just a little noticed thing. Kind of don't like what's going on here. Let's see if we can fix it. Probably because not that wasn't bad at all, I don't think. But I think it could have been better. And it means that we keep this edge around here. Come on. That seems much nicer. And just remember, try not to disrupt any of this sort of inner workings bit. Let's not worry about that. We can just target weld it and it will pop into place where we need it. Cool, so, you know, it's always good to try and keep it tidy as you go along. Then you don't have to try and make it all fancy for your show reel, because then it's just done as you go in. Cool, if you remember, we're getting, we'll probably, I think that's probably going over the edge of the scan already, so let's just bring the scan back. Yeah, so we're kind of already at our, we're at our limits of that. It's quite close. Probably going to put that down to maybe a bit of sketchy scan stuff. So I'm just going to turn that scan off because it gets in the way. I'm just going to tidy these up. And this is going to be our final edge, I think. That will work too. But I think kind of like putting nodes on the edge, which is kind of these parts here. So what I will do is, although I've just literally created one there, so ignore that. It should be alright. Well, we'll probably, what we'll do, we'll extrude that. So we're going to get getting pretty tight here, so when we go into the edge, we'll extrude it one more time. So we're not bringing any of these sort of 5-point edges. And we'll have to figure out why that is like that. Also, let's turn that off, because we're starting to create a little bit of a mess here. So maybe that was because we probably want to extrude from this edge here to make that flat edge. So maybe we're a bit preemptive on this one. So this would be our sort of flat leading edge. If we just scale that flat, just so we're super straight. And let's bring back the right, not the loop, the rifle scan. And so our edge kind of wants to be there, but as you can see here, we're pushing it. Maybe these holes are a little bit smaller on some ones. It sure does look a little bit smaller on this one, but I don't really want to do them all different sizes. But because it's nearly Christmas and Halloween's over, it's possibly that that one is smaller because it doesn't kind of work with anything else. Just bring this edge back, and you can sort of see that's working now. So that's going to be an edge that we now don't want to touch. So let's tidy this up. Like I was saying, this is hard surface modeling. Your topology still does count. Hopefully you guys have been watching the other ones as well. I am trying to make them more interesting. I just find it very difficult. Not exactly, I don't know what the words were. A bit quiet, I think, but it's quite hard to do these YouTube videos sometimes. But hopefully that helped. Center. Still tidy up some of this, just so it's not looking a bit wacky. So just save you having a massive batch of tidying up later on, unless you really love it and want to do it all at once. Entirely down to you. I think that's okay for now. Cool. So I reckon it's probably similar for this one here as well. Just going to hold V and snap it to that and see what we get. See what it looks like on the scan. There's just a big lump of stuff. Oh, I know what that is. That was that's probably because there's a whatever it was resting on, basically. Let's just push that out so it's not so crazy. Maybe some of them are different sizes, but who knows? I can't imagine it would, but for some reason it's probably not going to be that noticeable, to be honest. I don't know why I whispered. Cool. So I'm just going to go around and makes it a little bit easier just to do that like that. Target world. And this is going to be a long tutorial. It's already, like, you can kind of see it's got dark outside. It is that time of year, but anyway, here's what it is. What can you do? So I don't really want to be adding too much to this, so yes, target world. Nope. Nope. Oh, it's done that. And this one is probably wanting to go here. Ooh. Cool. And you see how we've actually made this quite complex shape. Actually quite simple. We can press 3 just for fun. This sort of thing works, but obviously it's a bit wacky in some areas where we haven't added supporting edges. So let's go back to our scan. Where is it? So we're on the edge here. Actually, we're a bit further away, so we can add that extra edge loop in there. Now we'll figure out this next mess. Well, not really a mess, but you know what I mean. Would have been nice to have another sort of edge loop around there, which we can still add. Because the magic of edge loops. But we'll... yeah, let's do it. It's kind of looking sketchy in some areas, but I'm trying to retain this outer edge so we're not messing too much with any of the edge flow. Like I say, it's not a huge biggie, but the more we try and keep this as clean as possible, the less chances of having horrible lumps in our mesh. And I'm sure if you've ever done hard surface modeling, you know exactly what that means. If you haven't, it basically means horrible lumps in your mesh. So we have got something here that I kind of don't like. We've got this two nodes next to each other. Can cause pinching. We'll try and figure our way out of this one because probably want this edge loop to go up through here. We'll worry about that in a minute. Not do that one because that's got the edge on it, isn't it? So we probably do actually need to bring back our scan. It's got to the point where we probably do actually need to know where this sort of outer edge is. So that being said, let's not go into UV mode, although I really wanted to. Let's try and get this outer actual shape. And guess what? We're going to use these lovely objects. So I'm just using that as a sort of boundary. We have this sort of lip here, which we'll worry about in a second. And this kind of would disappear under here somewhere. I imagine there is some magic going on under here, so when I say magic, I mean by who knows. Cool. So we've got our basic block shape. And what I'll do, let's just make this edge. What I like to do is just always use a bevel because, you know, it makes it nice and round and you can pretty much get it exactly how you want. Let's try 3.5. Cool. So let's turn our wireframe on, shade it on so we can see. Oh no, we can't see it because we can just about see it. Let's turn our X-ray on as well so we can see our mesh. So as we're building this corner, don't forget we also need to sort of make it work with what we have. So definitely gonna need like one down here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. amount. We just need to make sure we can get it correctly. So I think that's alright. If it's wrong, well, oh well, we'll take a look at that again. So let's turn off all that. Let's go back to our, bring back our rifle. So the next thing that we've got here is this sort of lip. And this. So I'm trying to pick, when I do this, I'm trying to pick the sort of center areas because I can just, I'm kind of doing broad strokes at the moment. I don't want to add too much craziness to it. But you see here, this is clearly a, shall I, let's just add another multi-cut. It'll be alright. We'll worry about the messy details afterwards. Let's just get the shape. I don't know if you can hear that. It's definitely raining. Cool. So what we can do, same as before, select the edge and bevel it. I like to use this because it means it's a genuinely a correct corner, and it's kind of level, and it's nice and clean. Don't have to do it this way. It's just the way I like to do it. And we can always adjust that, for sure. Let's do the same here. As that's beveling, it's kind of not giving us the amount I want, so I'm going to put it a little bit further. Also this one, I'm going to pull them a little bit more to the extremes. I'm going to bevel both of them at the same time. And I have no idea because I can't see it, so let's turn that off. See what we got. Cool, so we're pushing quite close to a pretty reasonable shape. Let's bring that back. See, this edge is very sharp, so we want to do that. But it's a very sharp edge. We can always adjust that, bringing that down. And I would expect. Okay, so we can actually see how big that hole is. Probably makes sense that we actually probably should have checked the other side, right? Anyway, I've turned this to like a. I think I need to get a new camera, right? But anyway, it is what it is. I'll be the big red lobster today. It doesn't bother me. It does a little bit, but hey, we all have dreams. Maybe my dream is to be a big red lobster. Cool, so what I will do is actually, I probably should check the other side for that. Let's just scale that down just so we can get the size. Because I actually can't really see anything while the scan's there. I'll probably expect that's not actually that size. There's probably a little bit in there. It's probably quite small, to be honest. No, that can't be right. Anyway, let's not worry about it for now, because it's a different side. Cool. So now we have basically our... Let's just do these edges as well, just because it makes sense to do it. Cool, so now we have like what would be effectively a really rubbish shape. But what I am going to do now is delete this. Select my edges. Do a tiniest little extrude in. And now we actually have our boundary edge. So now we've got everything to work to. So now all we have to do is just make everything work within this, right? So this shouldn't be too bad now. Like, yeah, all we got to do is make it work in here. I don't know what else to say there, but maybe we could have added an extra edge here. If you do add extra edges on a sort of curve, don't forget to add the middle stretch to it, otherwise you'll create it straight, create a sort of kink in it. So it's always good to check that. So let's just go through and try and target weld as much as we can. Sometimes it does not like it, unless we have gone at a funky height and done something wrong. Oh boy. So it's probably good to make sure that you're at the right height. So it just might be too small. Sometimes. Why? No, see, I told you I'll make mistakes and make myself look like an idiot. They're not even combined. For all you people shouting at me, it wasn't combined. I can't hear you. So this is actually probably the simplest process now, so we're just gonna... We'll probably even reduce some of these edges. There are some edges that we definitely need to add down, otherwise we're just gonna get chaotically messy. I think it doesn't matter. That's what I think. Obviously you can go through and try and reduce it, but I am not too bothered. But what we do need to do is make sure we're kind of... If this is where the edge is starting, we do not really want to mess with that. So trying to not touch any of the outer edges is basically... Just add these edge loops in, because we said we counted them, but obviously I'm not a very good counter, if that's even a thing. So I'm always going to target weld to the border area if I can, because I don't want to break effectively that cleanliness of the extrude. Cool. And what are we at? We're like 50 minutes doing this now. Wow. There is no way anyone's watched it this far. No one ever watches my videos for this long. I'm not even sure how the first one got almost 2,000 views, which I really do appreciate. I really do, but I would love it if that was like consistent throughout all my videos. Unfortunately, very sad that all you guys don't watch all my incredibly interesting videos. I am trying not to be boring, but I think maybe I'm just a boring person. That's just life, right? Maybe this is something that I can fast forward through, but I actually feel like this stuff is quite important. So, you know what? I'm probably not going to fast forward through this. Leave it down to yourself if you want to fast forward through it. Your choice. I'll have to try and, I don't know, I guess I have to try and think of like a fancy thumbnail that'll entice you guys in. I think that's probably one of my main problems. My thumbnails are not juicy enough. Or I'm just not ripping off other people's thumbnails, to be honest. Yep, I said it. I will say that what makes I'm not going to blow my own horn here, but there's one thing that I definitely don't do on this channel is copy other people's channels. I'm sorry, but yep, and I probably have messed up here. I have somehow done that, and I bet you I have. Let's go to vertex face, check there's nothing added in there by accident. Yeah, where was I? Oh, no. I really am trying not to copy people's what they're doing. And obviously, that's where I'm going wrong. I would have hoped that just like my 12 years experience would have sufficed, but I guess not. If you guys got any tips, any good channels that I should copy my thumbnails off, let me know. I'll copy the shit out of them if it works. I won't, because I don't like doing that. Copying other people's stuff is a real shitty thing to do, I find. Anyway, let's not talk about my ethics. Let's just get this done, right? You're probably tired of me hearing about whatever. Oh god, I really don't want to add too much to that, but I reckon we can do something about it. Hopefully, maybe. I don't know. So I'm not prepared this, so I am literally making this up as I go along. Well, not the tutorial, but I do not know where the future goes with this. Let's put it bluntly. We could probably remove some of those polygons later. For now, let's not worry too much about it. Let's remove them on, because we've got a node here. Side's getting boring. Let's finish off this side. We'll worry about that later, right? So we are going to get into a tricky spot, maybe? I don't know. Maybe not. Might be alright. 1, 2, 3. So we got definitely got some thinking to do. Let's extrude it from that edge. Oh, probably should have just done it not that way, but I did. Yeah, so we've definitely done a boo-boo here, because we've got 2 edges here and 3 edges here. Not that we can't fix it. It's probably because, remember earlier when I kind of went, oh, we've done something a little bit weird here with this edge loop. I think that could possibly be the reason. So what we'll do is delete that. And we'll continue to bring this in. Like I say, topology is also all about, it's like a puzzle. Once you get the idea of it, it's not that bad. It can be scary at first, but what's not scary at first if you don't know? So, I think one of the issues are we've got this sort of edge loop coming around here, and we've got an edge loop coming around here, so I've got a feeling we're going to end up in the same pickle as we were in 3 seconds ago. But we'll work through it. That's what we do. The most important thing is we're coming to that problem sort of on a flat area, so if you're ever going to have problems in your topology, best place to do it is in a flat area. Because as long as it's flat, let's be honest, you can get away with a lot of things. So what we can do is continue this edge loop. So if we change this, we're probably going to add a kink in there. I think probably our less destructive placement for this is probably going here. Probably adding an edge loop in here. Probably, well, it's kind of wacky, right? Let's see what it does to all things. See how it adds like a sort of kink, but the reality is we're not going to see it. So probably is not the finest example, let's be honest. But it will be fine. The thing is, as long as our sort of geometry is a one very important aspect of modeling is trying to keep your geometry relatively clean spaced. So when you subdivide it, it's not subdividing like a crazy angle, but you have kind of got like a very unregular shape here. So we're on an hour now. There's no way anyone's going to watch this, but I'm going to keep going because there's no point stopping now. If you've got to this point, say, I don't know, I like Chicken Run in the comments. Then I'll know you've actually watched it. I'm going to start doing that now. Just because when I do see that, it means that you have watched it. Ooh. Oh yeah, that's the mysteriously large hole, which we can definitely sort of cheat. Oh, got a very itchy nose, sorry about that. Let's just... It's kind of a grim area over there. It's like it's not a wrong area. Like, generally it's all correct, it's all quads, it's all fairly evenly spaced, but I feel like with a bit more of planning, we probably could have got a little bit better. And there's nothing stopping you doing it better. But I think that's fine for what we need. So one thing is I am going to extrude this out just so we have that retaining edge. And I'm just going to make these cuts here. I don't know if you can hear that. My cat is whinging, crying to come in. I don't think we need to actually... We've got quite a few edge loops, so let's just pull that down and pull that to there. Now we've got 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, why not? Let's... Sometimes you just got to see what it does. And it looks kind of gross, but I don't think we ever see that bit. But definitely need an edge loop in there, just to keep it sort of not going mental when it gets subdivided or adding weird stuff. And we're still in sort of a very easily manageable amount of polygons. I guess our next step would be to I want to make that a kite. And if you know what I mean by kites, it means if I extrude this out, I'm going to go to target mode. Ooh, not that. Sure. And can you guess why they're called kites? Because it kind of looks like a kite. Not to be like sarcastic or anything, but yeah. And I'm just doing very broad steps now. Adding the geometry together. And what we'll do, we will definitely figure out our correct edges. Obviously we can add that in there, but let's and cool, we're not doing this again, we're just doing this as realistic as we can, so I feel that you have you can do whatever with your poly count, up to you. I'm not going to tell you off if it's insane. Obviously the more polys you have it, the more difficult it becomes to manage, so do bear that in mind. And let's not forget we're also modeling a bit that we're never going to see, so there is that. But if you've got this far, I hope you guys are enjoying it. I don't really know what else to say. I get very... I don't want to repeat myself because you're probably like, just shut up. And, shut up and do it faster. And yeah. I don't know how some people do well, I say that my tutorials are like how some of them are like very long, and I do absolutely talk rubbish sometimes, if I say that politely. And don't forget, like, I don't know, I'm just trying to make conversation. You should drop more comments in the chat, because I do try to reply to all of them, and some of you do actually have like full-on conversations in the chat, which is quite fun. But I don't know what else to really say apart from, yeah, guys, hope you're enjoying watching me model this and making me looking like a giant red thing. I don't know if it's just my screen. Maybe my monitor is a little bit out of calibration. Cool. So Lamborghini got some pretty stuff here, but it's not wrong. And let's be honest, we didn't see it. So we're actually getting very close to that. Kind of looks a little bit messy over there. Let's do a tidy up at the end. Not now. Can't be bothered, basically. It's not exactly what I want to do right now. And that's perfectly fine. Go at your own pace. Do what you want. There is no rules. Apart from good topology and making it look real. Those are some fairly solid rules you probably want to stick by. The reason why I'm just not adding all these edges in as well is because I'm just trying to think every time that I add an edge, possibly adding an extra edge loop that I have to deal with. So it's not just blindly doing it, it's trying to make sure we have these retaining edges so we don't break anything. And you can get rid of these. Like, you can just add them as a... You can just match the sort of... figure out where the edge loop is going and effectively close the loop on it. But I'm not too bothered about adding a couple extra edges on the edge. And no one is going to cry about it. Because it doesn't really matter so much. As long as your edges, because we've worked flat, and we've not touched this outer edge, which is probably quite an important thing never to do, because then that's when you start getting, it's when you kind of start breaking stuff. But then even then, we can just, fix it. Everything's fixable. Don't worry if you break something. I know someone's going to say, "Oh, there's hotkeys for that," but I've just done it for so long. I'm not really bothered, and I work in so many different types of software now. All hotkeys are different, so let's reduce that edge. So we're kind of in a flat area now, so you can see we've got the makings of a kite here. Where we can just reduce that edge, or you can just keep it going to the bottom, but it's not a huge deal. What are we at? We're at 1 hour and 20 minutes. I don't know how people do like really fast tutorials of this, because it's just what could you possibly? Yeah, don't believe in it. Someone said my tutorials are therapeutic, so maybe we'll start the VFX ASMR. VFX ASMR. Struggling to even say that right now. So I'm actually just going to scale all these flat. Bring it to a sort of nice little flat union. Then just figure out these sort of edges. We're very much coming very close to almost doing this. So, finishing this. Tricky part is probably this, because I know that's overlapping. Actually, that is overlapping in real life, which is actually a pain in the butt. So that is going to be another thing we have to figure out. because this is also pointing this way, I think we could get away with... The one thing that I don't really like is because we're going to have a sharp edge here. Just on this bit, you see we've got our makings of a kite here. And you can absolutely do that if you want. I don't particularly like having any of the sort of like, what I would call the, oh damn, I've done something maybe a little bit off here, so I'm going to add a kite or a node. That stuff kind of belongs in the flat areas of the geometry. So I will actually do these bits here, because then I know I'm going to get a nice clean edge loop around here no matter what, even if I have to like add some extra ones. I don't want to break basically the luxury of edge loops, because they can save your life. And up here, not bothered. Let's ooh. I bet that's the wrong one. No, it's actually correct. So let's do that. And what I want to do is make sure that's not target world. Let's just bridge it, and it'll make our kite for us. So now I know whatever I do, this is always going to be a nice edge loop in here. I know I've got some questionable stuff, but it's actually fine because we're in a flat area. What that matters is that we probably could have cleaned this up quite a bit because we've got a lot of extra stuff that we didn't necessarily need. But it's not anything to worry about. It's just extra edge loops, and as long as they're clean and they're flat, they won't do any harm at all, apart from just adding a couple extra shots to your poly count. You can see like how I've just continued this nice edge loop, and this is kind of what I want no matter what. See that? Got these sort of strange areas but inside the mesh, but what I really want is make sure my hard edges are clean and got all the nice edge loops. So what we will have to do is now start to figure out what are we going to do here. And you're going to probably want to fast forward. I don't know. It's tough, really, man. Like, I don't really know what you guys always want all the time. I'm just trying to do the best of what I can without sounding weird. So that is the edge, but basically the screw actually goes over the edge. So I guess that'll be a sort of a lip in it. And there is also going into too much detail that causes us pain. But that was the whole idea of this, right? You guys wanted max detail. You wanted Hollywood. Trying to give you Hollywood now. So we've also got this sharp edge we need to figure out. And I'm actually going to add some extra edges here, just as a supporting edge. So if I press 3, it still keeps it. Well, it would have still kept it anyway, but it means that we've got a super clean edge. And so we're also getting very close to this bridge like that. Why aren't you working? Let's check that's not done anything strange there, so We'll figure out what's going on there in a second, because I'm not sure. It's definitely something awry. And you know what? I've selected some things by the center, and so I know for a fact I'm going to have to scale these back out flat. So that's my fault. So why isn't that joining that? Ooh, we got something. Do you know what that is? That is a... I bet you if I go vertex face, there we go. Happens all the time. Easy to do. Accidentally extrude something. That's why I use vertex face all the time, because it will show you something's not quite right. Just go straight to that. You can see that I've added like some nasty extra edge that we're now going to get rid of. Press Control Delete. And that's gone. So now if I bridge to that, it should work fine. And that is just a super optical illusion where I thought it was high, but it's actually not. So before I do that, let's see if we can see what we get from here. Figure this out. Maybe I was correct anyway. Cool. That's fine. So let's have a look at this tricky part. Let's get rid of it. We're not going to be able to see it. So basically that hole is fine. Well, no, the sort of screw there is nasty, man. It's so what it looks like is that this hole has been like reamed down into here and gone over the edge. I'm not saying that this is the best, world's best made weapon. It's clearly not. Clearly isn't. But let's try and get it relatively correct, right? So this is actually going to make it quite tricky, but why I left it to last. It might be alright. I don't know. Like I said, I've not planned any of this, so I'm not making it up as I go along. I'm just hitting the challenge as I go along, per se. So this will obviously be I was going to say beveled in, so I'll actually bring that back up. Ooh, not B. V. Bring that back up. So kind of these inside bits will be like, let's bring that in and bring it down. So it will have like the what's it called? The bevel inset of the screw, I guess. So what we can do is actually do that one first. Probably should just not make this more complicated than we need to, but it's kind of a fun little challenge to do. So I'm going to match it to that bevel bit. I'm just going to pull this down. Delete that. I want to delete that. So this is kind of a weird area, but we can do it. It'll be alright. I have faith in... I hope I have faith in it, but I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Just trying to make conversation. Luckily, that's a nice edge loop in there. So this could look very different when we smooth it. I don't think it's horrendous. But we do want to keep that sharp edge. So we might have to add another edge loop in here. So let's just continue that around. So that's a fairly interesting spot. I want to do that. So I'm just gonna multi-cut. And bridge these. Just want to make sure that I'm cleaning up these edges and these corners a bit first before I start going to adding that bit on. So that's probably a questionable bit. It's alright. We'll add some supporting edges for sure, like these, which probably could have completely made that pointless. But anyway, let's just extrude that out. Cool. And yeah, there's definitely some ropey bits around there, but it's new that it does that when you're in target world. Or not, maybe I've just not noticed it before. So we definitely need that bit there. And what we can do is bridge that, and we'll figure out this in a second. Maybe I've done something maybe we don't want to do here. So we have added an extra edge in, so why not? Because effectively that can go to that, and that can go to that. So it got pretty dark. I just realised it got really dark in the video, so I did just turn it off and turn it on. I just didn't want you to see me turn around and see my ass. But anyway, let's keep going. I'm going to be honest, I actually don't like that at all. We can find a place to reduce that a bit further away from the edge loop. Cool. So what I'm going to do is close it off here, so it's not so insane, basically. And it's a bit more sensible. So we're getting pretty close to almost doing this. Let's just tidy up some of these edge loops. Excuse me. Still got a bit of a rough throat. I don't really like that either, so just trying to avoid big stretchy bits, but sometimes it's just unavoidable. Well, and if we really wanted, we'd probably close this loop down here. To reduce it. Then we can figure out where this bit goes. Feels a bit chaotic in here, but because we're on a flat edge, it should be okay. There's nothing wrong with smoothing it out and having a look. Be pretty obvious if you've got any kinks in it. I guess what's probably also a good idea is if you're assigning new material, you can just add like a blin, so you got the sort of sheen, and you'll be able to spot any sort of weird areas. Anyway, let's carry on. This has been quite a monumental, well, I don't know, it's been quite a long tutorial, but undecided whether to fast forward for it or not. I don't really want to, because some people don't like it, and you know what, there are more, I don't know. Should this stuff be fast forwarded or not? I really don't know. Let's not do that, it's pretty gross. Excuse me. So it's add. Let's just extrude that up. Because it also, I know you don't want to add too many things, but it also adds our sort of, it gives us a nice retaining edge that we want for this bit. And it just helps keep that sharp edge. It's not like you can probably live without it because we don't actually see it in that area, but so I probably could fast forward. So maybe I'll just fast forward it a little bit. Just a little bit. Then you won't hear my voice. Not sure that's a bad thing, but anyway. stuff does take a long time, so there's no quick cheat sheet for it really. It's just, it is what it is. And yeah, you probably can use retopologizing tools and stuff, but I'd just like to be able to monitor everything. Maybe I have a control problem, but at least I know it's going to be working if I do it manually. Sorry if you heard that, I just burped. I do try not to burp on the recordings, but hey, can't be perfect. No. So we definitely need to just keep an eye on this bit here. That's what we're really doing with it. Cool, that's what I feel like. Excuse me. Really hoping this funny throat will disappear after a while. So I'm quite happy. Next problem will be matching this up. So what we'll do is make what I like to call a finalizing edge. Because we've kind of got these shapes here. We don't really want to lose too much of the sort of curvature of it. So in fact, before I do that, I do actually want to add one more edge loop on here. So that does complete that current edge loop. I want to do that? Probably not. I probably want to do that. And then what I'll do, I'll just tidy this up. Make it a little more pretty. What is this? I must have added some weird ones in there. Control delete deletes edges and vertices. So this one here will be my retaining edge, I like to call it. Basically all of my edge loops. I'll just scale it flat. Then we can assess the damage afterwards. Come on. Like I say, this is not like you have to do it this way. It's just the way I like to do it. It may not seem very fast, but because I'm talking over the top of it, usually it's just kind of headphones on and go. Try not to grab that middle because we are still in perspective. chances are we probably will pull it in a funky direction, which we do not want. Let's just scale it flat, and we can sort of fix that. Okay, so let's do an edge count. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Almost double the amount. Fantastic. So obviously we've got a pretty straight edge here, and we could probably lose a lot of those edges in the middle here. So I've just added 2 edge loops. I think we will absolutely need to add something down the middle here, for sure. Rectify plan, so if I go for this bit edge, it goes in here. Maybe this edge goes in there. That allows us for our sort of retaining edge as well. And what we'll do is just Control E, pull that down and square that off. Ooh. We'll just snap it to here. We'll just scale it in so I know it's not welded. It's not a huge deal, but it's more of a just so I know it's not attached yet, and I don't particularly want to attach it yet because I'm just going to figure out how to make these bits work. Cool. So obviously you've got one too many edges here. We need to reduce this down into 1. And same here on this edge. But first of all, I'm just going to double check that we could have not just... We've not created... because sometimes where we've saved to make less polygons, we may have made it a bit more difficult on the other side. And vice versa. But I would think for now it should be right. So we'll work from... work from left to right, and try and find a home for our little friends. So I'm just not going to do anything, I'm just going to align them up and see where we get with just reducing it once. And we still end up with 1 extra on the end. So let's try doing that there. I think this might actually take too many. So I don't really want to do that. Just going to undo all of that. And I'm going to pull this in so it's a little bit nicer and cleaner to that. I think these two are probably going to be a good match. Let's clean this up. This is definitely why you want to keep an eye on what polygons you add, because when you end up with a mismatch, it can be annoying. So what I'm doing, I'm just going to add an edge loop there. So I don't want to add it too close, I just want to make sure I'm going to delete that, get the vertice and target weld this to here. Then let's go from that one to that one. And we've created an edge loop, which hopefully should have reduced us just by enough to make it fit. I'm just going to drag these down. And we still got one. This is always the best part of having a mismatched edge. So, to there's always the, let's see if I click on that, where does that go? That adds it to the edge loops, which we do not want. So I guess the second thing we can do is make it disappear to a kite. Let's add a multi-cut here. It's maybe too close to my liking, to the edge, but excuse me. Let's just see how it goes. So effectively, let's just target mode. Let's just go for it. So then that would go there. It's not my favourite place to put it, but I think it should be alright. Because now what we can do is before we kind of go any further, so make this look a bit sensible because it looks nasty. No, we can't do that. That is not correct. Why did that not work out for me? I guess it does, but it's kind of a double kite, which is kind of nasty, so what we will do is undo that. Let's fix it in the middle, because yep, well, that's just life. Sometimes you don't get what you want, which was what I had planned. But yeah, let's go for it. And oh no, I'm definitely a bit of an idiot. Okay, it was right in front of me. Sometimes you just need to jiggle around the geometry, do the geometry dance, and yeah. The dance of the sugar plum geometry. So obviously it's looking a little bit nasty, but what we will do is tidy this up. And we've basically got a lot of this nasty stuff out of the way. The thing is, we do want to keep that retaining edge, so I'm going to put another edge in here. And because it's kind of flat, it's not so much of a pain. What I will do is, because we are on the luxury of a flat place, I am going to I could go and do that all manually. I'm just going to use my I'm going to save it before I do that. because I actually haven't saved it yet, so that would be embarrassing if it crashed and we'd have to do it all again. I was wondering why it's taking so long, but it's because it's got all the scans in it. I was a little bit worried then, but it is worryingly taking a long time. I'm going to pray to them. Oh, there we go. Cool. I'm going to go to the sculpting, and I'm going to go to the relax tool. I love the relax tool. If you hold B, you can make it smaller. I'm just going to relax my geometry. We're not smoothing it, we're just relaxing the edge flow. Because we like a relaxed edge flow. It works best when we have a nice even spacing. But just remember, you do not want to go anywhere near your edges with this, otherwise you will break it. You won't. It will just relax the edge, and you don't want to relax the edge because currently our edges are, would say, pretty damn good. So let's not mess around with our edges. Cool. That'll do. Let's go to our relax tool again, and let's relax. Good old relax. Like a nice cup of coffee on a Sunday morning. You can see how sort of... You want to make sure you don't go too close to the edge, otherwise you might make it go a bit funny, but luckily this doesn't affect the border edges. Well, it shouldn't, I don't think. But effectively what we're doing is making the geometry very nice. I don't know if that's just on my screen. So you can go pretty crazy with this. Not too crazy, otherwise you might break it. Cool. And now we have a pretty nice sort of, well, the whole thing's pretty nice to be honest. So if you press 3, also we haven't beveled this bit, let's just go ahead and bevel it before anyone says, oh, it looks a bit weird. Let's bring up the scan just so we can get a good... I would not trust what that bevel is on there. I'm going to turn around and take a look. Oh, it's quite good. Maybe it's actually quite... It's fine. It's a bit sharper on the top. I'm going to go around and lower this because it seems a little bit higher. Before we say we're not going to model those numbers in. We could, but we're not. Gotta leave some fun for the texture artists, right? Cool. So now let's move it and have a look. So what we're looking for is any sort of, like when you look at it and you've got the you can put the blin, or I could have just swapped that to a thong actually, but you'll see straight away if there's something a little bit weird going on basically. And actually this is not turned out too bad because we'll have we probably will need to add an edge loop in there because we're losing that hard edge there. And that's going to be hidden anyway, so let's not bother. Cool. Ooh. So I guess the next thing for us to do is actually extrude the edges. So just trying to think of the best way we do this, because we have added this on the top. Let's just finish this off. And so I reckon the best thing for us to do this is actually duplicate it. Let's delete the history so we don't break it. So what I will do is bring back our scanned rifle. Let's Control D, W, and I'm just going to bring it down to wherever I can see the joint. So about here, I reckon. And that kind of looks right all the way around. See, it's kind of flat here. Cool. I'm going to turn my scan off. And what I can do is, if I go to my Y and press -1, we've now magically flipped it. And I'm going to have to move it again because it's obviously not centered. Cool. So what I probably will do is actually delete the history and freeze the transforms on that so it doesn't go funky. And we don't need this extruding out, so I can just grow. Press G. And delete that. And just to save having to like model stuff, we can now just finish that loop on the inside when we come around to it, and do the same with all the others. Cool. So now we've got the right thickness. Also this bit, we need to because we did use that as a template to find this bit. Obviously it won't be like that underneath, so we can probably, do you know, let's just do grow, and that's Control right click and press G to repeat. Just going to select the entire corner, scale it flat, hold V, and snap it down to there. And I'm just going to check I'm not overlapping anything. So we have got a lot of excess geometry in here now, which we probably do not need, but I am not particularly that bothered about it because we still need to have those edges that match up there. Cool. So let's merge these together, or combine. So in a perfect world, right, I'd select that and select that. And I'll be so amazed if this actually does it. Oh my god, it actually did. I had no faith in Maya then, but sometimes it does this weird thing where it kind of spirals round. But yeah, happy with that. It worked. Cool. So do the same with this. Bridge. Obviously we're going to have to figure out these, we'll worry about the beveled edges in a second. So that's going to be so these ones here are all just straight up holes. Cool. But these ones here are actually got this sort of chamfer bevel on the inside. Because if we didn't know, that was no point in doing it. Cool, so just Control E. Just bring them all in. And we do not see what size bolts they are, but we can take a fairly estimated guess at what they might be. Cool. And we will just Control E. And I'm just going to hold V and snap it to the bottom here. Control E. Ooh. Ooh, it's not liking that. Cool. It's not gonna. I still probably have to do these manually, so cool. I'm just gonna go through and do these, and you can just press G to repeat command. So I have to go to it all the time. And this one we definitely need to take a look at because we added. Generally can't remember why, but I think we added an edge loop there, and obviously it's we've got some sort of snapping on this one. That's probably going to make it go a little bit funny, but we don't see it, so let's not worry. I don't know why I'm whispering, but ooh. Oh, this one, yes. So we'll just Control E. They're on different translates now because we did that sort of thing. It's obviously being annoying, but we can just scale it. No, we can't. Why is that? And see, it did that thing, which I said it did and it never did, but now it's done it. So I told you it exists. It's also worrying that it's I feel like I may have done something funky there, but let's smooth it and see. But it's actually alright. And funny, our last piece. We could like totally just cover this hole up, or no, not that. Or we can just not the front, top. We could just totally scale. Let's go to shading, X-raying. And I know it's kind of a piece of geometry that you're never going to see, but now we don't have to actually worry about. We don't have to worry about actually like making it closed and have to add extra geometry. So, cool. So if we press smooth, let's have a look. So most of our bits are done. We just have to add these sharp edges now, because obviously this is not correct. So let's add these. Let's do the inside because these are different size holes. The average, well, that is a much different size hole, isn't it? Whoops. Luckily we don't see it. So it could be a different size bolt. I don't know why that is different, but anyway. So that is quite smaller. So I'll show you one of my Is it? Or is it just my eyes? That is definitely it's 100% a smaller bolt. So I'm just gonna... It's definitely a much easier way I could have done that. So if you scale that out, if I did that, you'll notice it'll probably pop out through the bottom, which it has. See, it's added that, sort of scaled it out. We definitely don't want to scale it. Oh, it's probably done that also because we've got those edges connected. What we want to do is transform component. Is hold shift and go transform. And you know when you had that luxury of you know when you did the extrude and it allowed to extrude perfectly on the normal, not doing anything crazy. It's basically what it allows you to do again, basically. So let's just go to orthographic top. And yeah, I am definitely just doing that by eye because we're not really going to see it, but I'm just trying to get through this as fast as possible now. This has been like almost quite a long tutorial, but hey, what can you do? Oh, well, that jumped back to that. Graphic top. There we go. Reasonably the same size. Okay. Oh no. So many cameras. Cool. Let's go back to our edges. Yeah, we'll have to select them all again. Like I say, these are pretty long tutorials. 100% a walkthrough. And you know what I mean. Sometimes things just take a long time. Just gonna bevel those, and hopefully nothing's gone funky on the inside. It's probably because those are much tighter. Might have to unselect those because they're just a bit too tight. And we don't really want them that tight. So let's unselect those, and that's basically those ones there because they've got already enough retaining edges, or it could be the bits underneath. Might not need two. Let's see what that looks like now. Not as sharp as I'd want it. So well, that's probably about right. These ones are already very sharp, so I don't really want to bevel them, but I will add a fake bevel called a retaining edge, which will allow it not to stretch so much. And I will do the same for these bits. Before I do all of them, just test it out on that. Seems reasonable. So I'll do roughly the same distance. So basically just adding a manual bevel, which I've not had. Could have beveled it a long time ago, but that means that you'd have had to work with that bevel, and no one could be bothered with that. It's a lot of effort to work with bevels sometimes once they've already been done. So let's have a look at it. Starting to get a pretty decent shape. Obviously this sort of butthole thing in the middle can be cleaned up. So let's go back to our scan. So I'm pretty sure those have got the softer edges, or at least, because we have got this, but we're kind of very flat, so I will extrude it ever so slightly, but I'll just offset it also very slightly. Ooh. Which I'll try and find the right amount, probably 0.1 or 0.05. Possibly see. Oh no! Let's see what that looks like. I'm feeling that's kind of nice. And just to go over the top, I will add a retaining edge on the middle. You've got some pretty nasty stuff going on. What's going on here? Something is not. See that? Oh, that's kind of pinching. I kind of feel that maybe something's broken there, or who knows? I'm trying to do it as fast as I can. It may just be how it is. Now, see how that's kind of now relaxed. I must have just accidentally done something. So probably the final step is doing this edge, and it's the same as before. You can bevel it. You might end up making it too sharp, so we're just going to do it with a retaining edge sort of bevel. So now see we've got nice sharp edges. And I don't know if it's just bad, I just do it. It just helps with, I don't know why I do that. But anyway, have it. So I'm going to add another edge loop in here to sort of break up this really long stretch of geometry. Not that it makes a difference, but it should help with, so we'll actually undo that, because it's going to show you why I add. See how here it keeps this edge? It's hard to see, it really is. But you see how this edge is kind of nice and sharp here, but now it's starting to pull out where it's not had the retaining edge. So I will just add, like, I don't know, one there. You see how it keeps that edge nice and tight without changing it. I'm just going to check it all over. I annoyingly do feel this should be a little bit tighter. So is one of the annoying things which done the bevel, and if you can't find it, it's that's not looking very tight because we don't have the retaining edge, which helps. Cool, I'm pretty happy with that. So it's been like 2 hours. There's no way anyone's going to watch that. But hey, thanks for watching if you did. Like I say, take a little relaxed evening, do some modelling, watch some, I don't know, anime, some One Piece or something. But yeah, and just have a chilled modelling evening. So we have done one bit. I'm pretty happy with it. It's looking pretty tight. So yeah, it is what it is. It took that long. It wouldn't have taken me that long if I wasn't talking over the top of it. But anyway, thanks for watching. Do not forget to like and subscribe. It really does help. Leave any comments in the comments, obviously, and please like and share. I really do like it when you do. It makes me smile and happy inside and warm and fuzzy, and it is Christmas. You should be nice. You should be liking everyone's videos. So Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.